For today, we're going to be continuing our division mock draft series with the NFC North. The Bears at 10, the Packers at 23, Vikings at 24, and the Lions at 28. But of course, as you know, this is a 3-round mock draft for each team in this division. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into the draft. So let's see who the first 9 picks are. So we have Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Genty, Campbell, Membo, McMillan, and Barron are all off the board. So looking at the Bears depth chart. So right here it says we need running back, D-line, safety. I can see them taking a running back, but not if Genty's off the board, which he is. D-line, they did sign Grady Jarrett. But in terms of D tackles, because they run a 4-3, I feel like this is the first 4-3 I've seen in a while. Since they run a 4-3, they could use somebody next to Grady Jarrett. And their pass rushers, they signed Dayo Odeyingbo from the Colts. They drafted Austin Booker last year, and of course have Montez Sweat. So I think they're good on edge. They could go D-line next to Grady Jarrett. And you could go with a Kenneth Grant here at 10, but I don't think they do that. It says they need safety. I like Brisker and Byard. I know Byard's on the older side, but I like their safeties. Their corners are very solid. They don't really need to draft much when it comes to the defense outside of potentially a D tackle. And then on offense, you obviously got your quarterback. You could go running back as well, but again, without Genty, probably not going to happen. You could potentially go receiver here, because outside of Moore and Odunze, you don't really have anything. Olamide Zaccheaus is a good receiver, but that's pretty much it. You just have 2 guys. So honestly, I haven't really thought about getting the Bears a receiver, but I don't hate the idea now that I'm looking at their depth chart here. Tight end, you could go tight end, but probably not with Cole Kmet. And then the O-line, they did invest big on the O-line, bringing in Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson. You have Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones, 26 years old. Darnell Wright is 23. Darnell Wright was your first-round pick. Braxton Jones was a 5th. So I don't know if they're high on Braxton Jones. But again, there's no Will Campbell and there's no Armin Membo, so you probably don't go tackle here either. I don't really know maybe you go Malachi Starks, because it says they need safety, and Kevin Byard is 31 years old. So I don't really know what to do here with the Bears, because they don't need pass rusher. They have Odeyingbo and they have Montez Sweat, so you're not going to go Mike Green. You're probably not going to go Will Johnson. I think I might give him Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka or Matthew Golden here. Or do you just go Kenneth Grant? You know what? Their linebackers, you do like TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. I might give him Jahad Campbell. You know what? It's him or Malachi Starks, I think. Because Malachi Starks obviously can give you some linebacker type in the box snaps for you to fill that need alongside Edmond. But again, it is a 4-3, so they do run 3 linebackers. And they're all sort of coverage off-ball type of linebackers. I think I'm actually going to go Jahad Campbell here to the Bears. All the guys that you would want them to take are gone. Membo's off the board, Campbell's off the board, Genty's off the board, even a guy like Mason Graham's off the board. You probably weren't going to take a receiver. You don't really need a pass rusher. You don't necessarily need corners. I like Jahad Campbell to the Bears at 10. Packers are next at 23. Now, Luther Burden is still available, and the Packers receiver room doesn't really have that true guy. I still think Jaden Reed could potentially be that, but outside of that, it's just a lot of receiver 2s and 3s with Watson and Dobbs and Wicks and all those guys. So you could go Luther Burden. But looking at their depth chart here, they could also, I guess, use a backup halfback, but again, you're probably not going to take Amari Hampton here. Yeah, no. O-line wise, I think their O-line's pretty solid. I think they should go defense. I think that was their weakness last year. Because when Jordan Love's healthy, they have a very good offense. Again, they could add a receiver. Because pass rusher, they also run a 4-3. You like Rashawn Gary. Lucas Van Ness has been okay to start his career. He's still only 23 and your first round pick not too long ago. I do like corner for them because you do have Nate Hobbs. But we don't know what's going to happen with Jair Alexander. He could leave. You don't take a linebacker here, I don't think. I think you're set with Cooper, Quay Walker, and McDuffie. I think it's either corner, pass rusher, or receiver. I know it's literally what they have it here, but makes sense. So you could go James Pierce. Jalen Walker is off the board. Michael Williams is off the board. Even Shamar Stewart as a Rockwell are also off the board. So it's between... Yeah, there's not even... Will Johnson isn't even on the board. He got picked at 14 by the Colts. So I think it's either Luther Burden or James Pierce. Because I'm not taking Siobhan Revel at 23. I'm going to go Luther Burden. I wish they could go corner, but I just don't think it's going to work out with who was available on the board. Next up is Vikings. It says they need halfback, D-line, and corner. I mean, you have Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, and Harrison Phillips, so I don't think you necessarily have to go D-line anymore. I do like corner to them because Isaiah Rodgers isn't bad. You obviously really like Byron Murphy, but they could use another corner, and that was probably their weakness of their defense was their secondary. So you could go corner. O-line, you're completely set. I mean, maybe I'm not too familiar with Blake Brandel. Maybe you could replace him, but outside of that, your O-line's pretty set. Your offense, honestly, as a whole, is pretty set. Could use a receiver next instead of Naylor or Rondell Moore, but I think you go defense. I mean, you could go running back too because Aaron Jones is older. How old is Aaron Jones? He is 30s. So you could go running back with Amari Hampton. And again, the corners aren't that good. What about safety? Safety's an option with Malachi Starks. That's the Bears depth chart. Safety's an option because Harrison Smith's really old. He's 36. And then Theo Jackson is 26, and he's had an okay start to his career. Nothing spectacular. So you could use Malachi Starks. So it's between Starks or Amari and Hampton, I guess, if you're the Vikings. I'll go Malachi Starks. I feel like when Nick Emanwari had his really good combine, people put him above Starks, and people kind of forgot about Starks as much. But I still think he'll be the first safety taken. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the second. All right, next is the Lions. I think they go defense here because that was their weakness. Offensively, they can't really do much. They could use a receiver, but in this specific mock, you're not taking probably Ayomanor or Jaden Higgins or any of those guys. So you don't go receiver here. And that's pretty much it. Because defensively, you have Aiden Hutchinson, obviously. But outside of that, you don't have much. Your D tackles are good. You like your linebackers. Your corners are solid. It's corner or edge for me. I mean, you could go linebacker, but with no Jahad Campbell, probably not. I think the pick is easy here. And I think you go James Pierce if you're the Lions. I mean, you could go with a Nick Scorton, but I think if James Pierce is there, you take him. Bears are next at 39. We got them Jahad Campbell last time. Sort of a rogue pick there, but they didn't really have good options for what they were looking for. But looking at 39, they also have pick 41. This is via the Panthers at 39. Could go Xavier Watts to fill that safety need alongside Brisker, at least like future-wise, youth-wise. Because you like Byard somewhat, but he's on the older side. You could go, they do need D tackles. We were mentioning Kenneth Grant. I just thought it would been a bit of a reach. So I kind of like TJ Sanders or Tyreek Williams here. Or do you go running back? I mean, I think you go, what are their picks? They also have 72. I mean, you could potentially get one of these guys at 72, one of these top 5 left. It's pretty much. Or do you take one of those at 41? I think, because again, you don't need pass rusher, so you don't need Scorton. You don't need corner. I think it's Xavier Watts or TJ Sanders. But I'm going to go TJ Sanders just because I think they need somebody next to Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett's also on the older side as well. So I think D tackle is a more important position for them. And again, they're back at 41. They could go Xavier Watts here like we were talking about. Or they could get one of the halfbacks. I think you got to help Caleb Williams as much as you can. So I think you go halfback here. Now, it's which halfback do you go with? It's honestly, any of them are probably fine here. Maybe I wouldn't go Dylan Sampson, but Scadaboo, Johnson, Henderson, or Judkins are all perfectly fine picks here at 41 if you go halfback. It's just which one do you want to take? They have DeAndre Swift, so maybe they go more the power back route to kind of pair alongside Swift. So I'll go Scadaboo. I'll give the Bears Scadaboo. I don't know if it's Scadaboo or Scadaboo. I'm still not sure. Next is the Packers. We got him Luther Burden. And when we were contemplating who to get to the Packers, we were like, Siobhan Revel's here, but he's a bit of a reach. He's still here at 54. I'm going Siobhan Revel. I think it's an easy pick. I was contemplating potentially taking him to them in the first round, so I think that works out perfectly. Lions are next at 60. Got them James Pierce. Love that fit for them. They could go guard because they do have older guards. And we do still have Tate Ratledge here. But I don't know if he'll be available at 102. But I just don't know. I mean, you could go maybe a Willie Lampkin at 102 if you're the Lions. Quick look at their depth chart again. If you put James Pierce here, you got Pierce, Reeder, McNeil, and Hutchinson. That's pretty good. Could go linebacker to pair alongside Jack Campbell and Malcolm Rodriguez. I like Malcolm Rodriguez. And Anzalone can give you quality reps as well. Corner, you got Branch, you got DJ Reed and Amik Robinson, and Taron Arnold as well. I think maybe you go receiver if you're the Lions, because it's pretty much, you got Amon-Ra, you got Jamo, who are your long-term receivers. And then you got just veteran depth guys like Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond. I like receiver here because it makes a lot more sense. It's who do you go with? Do you go with Jalen Noel? Do you go Trey Harris? Or do you go Jalen Royals? I think my favorite out of all these guys is Jalen Royals. He's not a slot receiver, which is good because that's kind of Amon-Ra's role. So I'm going to go Jalen Royals to the Lions. They need somebody next to those two guys. And that range is perfect to take one of them. Bears next up at 72. We got him Jahad Campbell, TJ Sanders, and Cam Scadaboo. Now, unfortunately, Dylan Sampson is available, so maybe we could have taken him here, taken somebody else, but that's fine. We kind of got the defensive needs out of the way. Again, could use safety. And Kevin Winston's here. Not a bad pick at 72. Honestly, I might go receiver here. Because as we talked about, it's just more in DeAndre Swift. And you can get a guy like Trey Harris. Or do you go Jalen Noel's a slot guy, and Moore's kind of an outside. Roma Dunze, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to go Jalen Noel here to the Bears. They need somebody. They just need to help Caleb Williams, in my opinion. So I like that. Packers at 87. I'm loving the Packers draft. Luther Burden, Siobhan Revel. Do we give him an edge rusher? I mean, if there's a good one. David Walker isn't the worst pick here at 87. I don't hate David Walker. Quick look at their depth chart again. Yeah, because I mean, you could go linebacker, but with receiver and corner already taken, do you just get a guy like Terrence Ferguson? But they already have a lot of tight ends. They already have Kraft and Musgrave. I mean, maybe you just go David Walker, just get best player at your biggest need. Because you don't need a running back, do you? You have Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson. Yeah, I'm just going to go David Walker. Maybe it's a little bit of a reach, but they need edge. I don't really like any other pick for them, so I'll go David Walker out of Central Arkansas. We actually had the last pick in the third round with the Lions, which is cool. But the Vikings are up at 97. Got the Malachi Starks in the first. They do need a halfback. You do still got Damien Martinez, which is a great pick. I mean, his average draft position is 97 and this, or 95.7, and you have 97. So you could go Damien Martinez. I don't hate that. They do still need a corner, possibly. You got guys like Dorian Strong. I mean, I think it's Dorian Strong or Damien Martinez. And I think they need a corner a little more than they need halfback. Because they could still get a halfback. They could still get a guy like Jaden Blue or Trevor Etienne in the fourth. We're not doing 4 rounds, but they could. So I'm going to go Dorian Strong here to the Vikings. They need somebody outside of Byron Murphy, so I like that. Last pick in not only this draft, but again, the third round is the Lions. James Pierce and Jalen Royals were their first 2 picks. We mentioned Willie Lampkin would probably be there at their pick 102, and he is right here. I kind of like that pick. Who else? Could go linebacker. Jeffrey Bassa, potentially. I don't hate that, actually. I might rather go that instead of Willie Lampkin. Because they do need linebacker. And it just makes more sense. I mean, do you go Harold Fannin as a backup tight end to Sam Laporta? If you don't, I like Brock Wright. See, I'll go Jeffrey Bassa here to the Lions to finish out the third round. And that will conclude our 3-round NFC North mock draft. Quick overview of the picks we made. We had the Bears go Jahad Campbell at 10, linebacker out of Alabama. Packers at 23 went Luther Burden, Missouri receiver. Vikings at 24 went Malachi Starks, Georgia safety. At 28, the Lions went James Pierce, edge rusher out of Tennessee. Bears at 39 went TJ Sanders, D lineman out of South Carolina. And Cam Skattebo at 41, halfback out of Arizona State. Packers at 54 went Siobhan Revel, corner out of ECU. Lions went Jalen Royals, receiver out of Utah State at 60. Bears at 72 also went receiver with Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. Packers at 87 out of Central Arkansas, edge rusher David Walker. And then the Vikings took corner Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech at 97. And lastly, at 102, we had the Lions take Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker out of Oregon. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.